This is A Few Good Fights. I'm your host Rob, and I'm joined by Sean as always. Sean, how are you?
Hello, babies.
Love it.
I'm alright.
Great stuff. Big show today. Lots of fights this weekend, of course. You have the big boxing fight, Wilder versus Fury. But you also have a cracker in MMA. It's Paul Felder against Dan Hooker. We're going to break both of them down, and I'm really looking forward to breaking them down. Plus, what's next for Jon Jones? Jan Blachowicz got a big win on the weekend. We also have Dominic Reyes waiting in the wings for his rematch. We're going to talk about that in here. We're going to give you the definitive answer. And also, Sean, the big one. Is MMA judging corrupt?
Does it stink?
Does it stink? There's something stinky going on, and there might be a tad bit of corruption. Or maybe not, but we're going to talk about it. And also, Marc Goddard got some death threats because of Colby Covington. Let's talk about that one as well. Let's go. So this is the big MMA news, and Sean, I want to start here. Jan Blachowicz got a big win on the weekend. He knocked out Corey Anderson in the first round in a very, very impressive performance in front of Jon Jones, who was sitting outside and almost gave Jan the rub, so to speak, and not in a sexual way, in the little rub as in the, you know what I mean. Do you think that was enough now to move Jan into the first spot, the number one contender spot, over Dominic Reyes, who everybody was talking about last week? Dominic Reyes needs to get an immediate rematch, but now it looks like Jan might be moving into that position. Do you think so? And do you agree with it?
Yeah, probably.
You
Just
do?
recency bias.
Yeah, it's fucking recency bias. Oh my god.
He was helped massively by the fact that Jon Jones was there in attendance. It's like you do some good work in front of your boss, when it's not there, which are you going to pick?
Yeah.
When Jon Jones is there is when you want to do it, and he fucked him up in fairness, Corey Anderson. Jones was there, and Jones was lapping it up on the side as well. It's not like Blachowicz just sort of went over and called him out. Jones was lapping it up and giving it back as well, which worked well, which built somewhat of a storyline there. With is he next? Probably. I don't know, probably.
It's hard, isn't it? It's tough one.
Because if you don't give it to Reyes next, when do you give it to him?
Yeah, he might miss out.
Yeah, I think
he might never get it.
But I don't think there's a whole lot to gain from the close, or from giving it to a Reyes a rematch.
For Jon Jones?
I think you'd be hard pushed to get Jones to accept a rematch with Dominic Reyes. I don't think it does massive buys, even given how the last fight played out.
So that's what I wonder, right? So a lot of people are talking about why he should take the Reyes fight, because the Reyes fight is technically a bigger fight, which I do agree with. If you're going to look at them side by side, I do think that that's going to end up being a bigger fight. But does that necessarily mean much? Is it necessarily going to drive that many more buys that it's going to make a substantial difference? I don't know.
I think it's a bigger fight within the MMA community. I think it doesn't go any further, I think. Yeah,
I think, this is no disrespect, but I think Dominic Reyes and Jan Blachowicz, I think that they are pretty much avatars against Jon Jones. They could be faceless people.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Reyes, because of what happened, it'll be slightly more. But I don't think it's going to be a deciding factor. I think the deciding factor will be, who does Jon Jones want to fight? Who does he actually want to fight? And I think that's an interesting discussion, because I have a theory about Jon Jones, and I've had it for a long time, that one of his best, it's not really a theory, it's kind of an opinion, one of his best attributes is how well he can game plan, and that kind of goes towards his coaches as well. They should get a lot of credit. But I think that he really values game planning. So then I was thinking, it's probably more advantageous for him to take a Reyes fight, because he's been in there for 5 rounds with him. He knows how he fights. And you said this last week, Sean. You said that if they do an immediate rematch, that favours Jon Jones a hell of a lot more than Reyes, because I think he's that type of fighter. I think he's a guy who likes to see as much data on his opponent, and now he's had 5 rounds with this guy. I think he'd be very confident going in. So when I see the narrative that he's taken this, or he wants the Jan fight, going in attendance and building it up because he thinks that's an easier fight, I don't know. I actually don't know about that one. I'm not sure.
I think the way he reacted after Jan's win would suggest that he'd be more interested in fighting Jan.
I agree, but I'm not sure if that's the reason. Is it because it's an easier fight?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's because it's an easier fight. I think the Reyes fight would suit him better, the rematch. Like you said, rematch suits him. I think his game plan and all that. The more rounds he has with you, the more it suits him.
We've seen it
with DC.
Yeah.
I just don't think he has a lot to actually gain from. If he goes in and fucks Reyes up in 5 and wins 50-45 in a rematch,
yeah,
grand. It's another Jones win, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But the same goes for Jan.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's like stuck in the mud at the minute.
Yeah, it is. It's a division that has very little prospects, and again, that's no disrespect. It's not that exciting. I mean, I was listening to the Man in the Mid podcast on The Athletic, and Sean Al-Shadi mentioned this, and it's so true. It's like John Jones is going to eventually lose to some guy he shouldn't have lost to, and it's going to be a huge missed opportunity for the UFC and for John Jones, because right now John Jones at heavyweight is so fun. You know, no matter how well he does there, that first fight against whoever it is huge, and it's so much bigger than anything that could happen at light heavyweight right now. But is it the fact that the UFC probably aren't willing to offer John Jones a whole lot extra to take that risk? John Jones was probably just happy fighting guys at light heavyweight and beating them. And I know the last one was close, but it's going to be a lot easier to do that. Yeah,
I think time is running out for John to have an impact at heavyweight.
Yeah, it is.
Like, surely there's only so much longer he can go on beating or fighting contender after contender at light heavyweight without having something that actually gets the public's attention.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely gets the public's attention. Like a Ngannou fight, like a Stipe fight, or DC at heavyweight. There's so much up there for him.
Yeah, there's loads.
How long do you go giving him, not tin cans, but...
Yeah,
that's disrespectful.
It's disrespectful, and he almost lost to Reyes, so it's hard to say in that way. It's just they don't inspire confidence or excitement, really. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what it is. They just don't. But we have to give a lot of credit to Jan Blachowicz, because that was a phenomenal performance.
He did what he had to do. He could have went out and won a decision victory, but he went in and made his claim to be next in line. So, you know, fair play to him.
Yeah, Corey Anderson walked right into that right hand, because he threw a leg kick in the pocket with completely telegraphed, and his hands were down by his waist, and it was kind of, I'm not going to say it was an easy punch to land for Jan, but Corey didn't do himself any favours there. No. But yeah, we'll see. My prediction is that it's probably going to be Jan, just because of what happened. John Jones, his reaction seems like it's going that way.
I think it'll be Jan next, and then he'll be at heavyweight come the end of the year.
Do you think so?
Please, I hope so.
I just see that getting further and further away. I just don't see anything from John Jones or even the UFC that it gives me the sense that that's going to happen.
Oh, fingers crossed. I hope so. I want to see him heavyweight.
Yeah, me too. The co-main event, I believe this was, Michel Pereira fought Diego Sanchez in a bizarre fight. And I don't really want to talk about the fight, because it's been it's been a while, and there's a lot of talk about the cornering, the judges, not the judges, but the cornering. But I want to talk about Diego Sanchez, because there's been talk about him, and did he quit, and what's that mean, and is he done?
Just explain what happened.
Yeah, so essentially, Michel Pereira landed an illegal knee to the face on the ground. The referee deemed it illegal. Diego Sanchez was taking his time, and the referee asked him, did he want to continue? Diego asked, if I don't continue, is it an illegal strike? Do I win the fight? The referee didn't say yes, but I think Diego probably knew that, it was a legal strike. He said it was illegal, so he knew he was going to win. And Diego said, I can't continue. My vision is blurred, I believe he said. And the fight was over, and he won by DQ. And a lot of people gave him a lot of flack. They threw a lot of insults at Diego, as far as I seen, in terms of fans. And I thought that was a little bit strange, just considering the situation and considering Diego's past. But what was your thoughts when you saw this?
The question is on screen, did Diego Sanchez quit? Yes. Do I have a problem with it? Not really. I actually think more fighters should quit. I think more corners should quit for the fighters.
Yeah.
Absolutely not have a problem. As in, the thing is with his pay, this is what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
He's essentially halving his pay by choice.
Yeah.
By not quitting.
Yeah. Here's the question that he was given. From what we saw in his last paychecks, we don't have his paycheck this time around, but his last paycheck, his last fight, what was the numbers? It was 10 something, wasn't it? Have it there. So it was 103,000 to show, 103,000 win bonus. So essentially what the referee was asking him is, essentially, do you want 103,000 or do you want 206,000?
Yeah.
That's essentially what he was asking him, because Diego Sanchez was losing that fight, and the chances were very slim that he was going to come out on top on that.
So we would have had to recover from the eye poke and then get into, actually land a knockout blow. I think as well, if you have to kind of take into account where he's at in his career, he's kind of getting to the stage where he just wants to make as much as he possibly can.
Yeah.
So if he's making 260k there and it sort of helps him in the long term, good luck to him.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with him.
No.
Quit. He did quit.
Like he
did.
He did.
But I don't have a problem with it.
No, I've absolutely no problem. Like, it was an illegal strike, and I'm sure that caused a lot of damage.
Yeah.
It was a hard strike.
Yeah.
It was. Like, I mean, there's no other thing you can say about it. But yeah, I've no problem with it. Also, one thing I find a little bit, you kind of alluded to it, where he is in his career. You have to remember that Diego Sanchez has been fighting a long time. Like, there's nobody really still around who fought in his era. Like, if you think about it, he fought in the Ultimate Fighter #1. So that's the likes of Stephan Bonnar, Forrest Griffin, Kenny Florian, all those type of guys. Those guys have been gone for a long time.
They're Hall of Famers a long time.
Yeah, a long time. Diego Sanchez is still around. And when people say that, oh man, Diego, is he like, is his skills like regressing? Is he? No, his skills aren't regressing, but he's from a different time. He's from a different era. He's fighting guys who are different human beings. They're completely different. They're different martial artists. They are. And he is a guy from a different time fighting people from the future, essentially. His style is an antiquated style. You saw it. He's like closing the distance by sprinting at guys.
Yeah.
And like his only, I guess, saving grace was he was fighting Michel Pereira, who doesn't like to do anything normal,
Yeah.
So you can throw rolling thunders against him because Michel Pereira will invite that kind of action. But Diego Sanchez is just like, it's time. It's time.
Yeah.
It really is. It's time.
With regards to quitting as well, you gotta live to fight another day, man.
Yes.
As in, what, like, if he says, no, I'm good to continue, loses the fight, grand, he gets a bit of respect and honour, and if he, in 20 years when he's down the line and say he has an issue with his eye because his retina got destroyed or something or whatever, it was an eye poke. Yeah. Sorry,
well,
I got confused.
it was a knee to the knee.
Oh, sorry, it was a low. Yeah,
sorry. It was a knee to the grounded opponent.
I get confused. I seen another eye poke. Over the weekend. I seen a slow mo of it, actually. It was horrible.
Oh, Jesus.
He
took a lot of damage.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. If he's 20 years down the line and he's like, do you know what? At least I got that respect and honour.
Yeah, I know.
Who gives a fuck?
Who gives a fuck? And
get out of the
that.
Yeah, exactly. Get out of the game with your mind intact.
Yeah.
And it's getting to the stage where you're kind of like,
yeah.
So get out with as much. Like, the aim of the game is to get in and make as much money as possible and then get out.
Yeah.
So
prize fighting.
Don't have an issue with it at all.
No, fuck that warrior shit. It's cool. I enjoy it, and I enjoy it when the guys are fit and ready. But Diego's done. James Krause was talking about Joe Solis, who was the
This
judge.
is interesting. So I hadn't seen this, so explain this one to me.
So James Krause, of course, fought against Trevin Giles 1 card ago, 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, whatever it was.
It was in Texas, wasn't it?
It was in Texas, yeah. Rio Rancho, which I think is a phenomenal name for a state or county or whatever it is. And the scorecard was insane. So one of the rounds, James Krause had Trevin Giles' back. And for some reason, he had his back for the whole round. And for some reason, a judge, Joe Solis, gave the round to Trevin Giles. Insanity. Now it has been revealed that Joe Solis has a black belt from Trevin Giles' coach, which is insane. He said that he hasn't trained at that gym or hasn't been in contact with the coach in like 10 years. Even so, that's still insane. So I want to talk about this because can you call this corruption, or do you call this just, again, kind of what we spoke about last week, just, incompetency from the commission to not see this sort of thing?
I don't want to label it as corruption.
Yeah, it's hard to label it corruption because I just think
it's not necessarily corruption.
No, I don't think it's necessarily corruption, but
it's shady as fuck.
It's certainly a conflict of interest.
Definitely, exactly. That's a pretty good way to put it.
In the least. And yeah, it's just crazy. I'm not really sure what to think about. But essentially what we spoke about last week, I think the UFC need to really be careful with this sort of stuff because they need to make sure that they're going to states that employ the right people, especially for big fights. Now, this wasn't a huge fight, but of course, Joe Solis, he did judge on the John Jones fight. Now, there wasn't any kind of connection there. But yeah, it's one of the most bizarre stories I've ever heard. Insane
that that's allowed to happen. I mean, they're obviously just pulling, oh, he's a judge, he can judge that one.
Yeah.
Me or you could probably go into Texas and get a fight as a judge pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I'd probably do a better job.
Yeah.
You know? But
I just wonder what the process is, because you'd have to feel that should have been disclosed.
There surely must be a disclosure made I assume, you would like to assume that most judges are involved in MMA at some level to help have a better understanding.
Yeah.
You would assume all Premier League referees write down what team they support.
Yeah,
it's known.
Yeah.
So you would assume that if a judge trains jiu-jitsu somewhat, he would write down, I train at this gym, I'm coached by this coach, and that would lead to but obviously not.
And what do you say to the fact, or I guess fact, but we'll take it as a fact, that he said that he hasn't trained there in 10 years?
Irrelevant.
Yeah, like I
think that's irrelevant.
Yeah, like you still have to disclose that. Like, not only did you train there, you got a black belt from that gym, a black belt.
Yeah, I think that
takes time.
Yeah, I think the 10 years is irrelevant.
Yeah,
you didn't just walk in and get a black belt on the day, and it was like, oh, we handed it out like sweets that day.
Yeah, and MMA Fighting is reporting that he got a BJJ black belt. A BJJ black belt. He scored a round where a guy had his back taken for the whole round to the guy that had his back taken.
Yeah, I mean, if he got to black belt 10 years ago, right? What's the average length of time for a black belt?
It really depends, but like, some people like 20 years. Like, it's a long time.
You're talking, I don't know, 7+ years minimum.
Yeah, like, and that's if you're fucking good.
Yeah,
like it's a long time.
So he obviously would have had to spend an insane amount of time around that gym.
Yeah,
to get a black belt. So
and
the
you
10
have to
years
be very close to that coach.
The 10 years gap is irrelevant.
It's completely irrelevant.
Absolute cop out.
Yeah, and they're friends on Facebook as well, Sean.
That's it. We've got him.
Yeah, we've got him. Yeah, it's fucking insane, man. That's fucking insane. Fuck that shit. So Marc Goddard has a podcast with Dan Hardy. It's actually really good. Check it out. It's called Listen. And he broke his silence, so to speak, on the Colby Covington situation. Of course, he refereed Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman. And there was a lot of controversy because Colby and then Colby's fans, which I didn't know if you knew, they actually do exist.
Cranes.
Stop it, Sean. They said that it was a terrible stoppage and Goddard, ruined Colby's opportunity to be a champion. And he reacted to this on the podcast. I'm going to play a video and then we'll come back and we'll react.
So then what do you do with the reaction that you get from a fighter like Covington then?
I'm a professional, mate, and I take it in my stride. People are looking for me to jump in and go, I'm not going to do it. He done another one on sports thingy when he was totally and utterly inappropriate, abusive, threatening. It's all there in his own words.
Yeah.
When you look at that fight and people talk about why was that fight stopped, then the 20-second window, the two knockdowns, I know he's hurt. I know he's not out. I know he's hurt, which is why you'll see when he gets knocked down, I'll run in, I see him react, I move back. Second knockdown, you close the distance, run in, he reacts, I move back. Then the shots start coming in. This is when everything narrows down for me. And I have a choice to make. I have to make a choice one way or another. You're entitled to your own opinions, but you're not entitled to your own facts. And this is what... You're not, are you?
No.
Everybody wants an opinion on a fight. I'm more concerned about a reasoned opinion. Look, if you're driving a bus and I run alongside you at the traffic lights, fucking smash the window and go, you fucking dickhead, you're driving the bus like a prick, what are you doing now? Because that's my timeline on Twitter and Instagram for 2 weeks. That's my timeline.
Road rage, basically.
Yeah, and you're going to die and you this and that, kill yourself, you're scum, you're betting on fights, you're a cheat, you're this. Mate, and I'm talking not 1 or 2 or 50 of that, hundreds. But that's, that's the life of a ref.
Yeah.
Cool. So there we go. So I thought that was really good because not only did Goddard explain why he made the stoppage, he also
very
showed
clearly.
It was very clear. It was very, very clear. And I think this brings it back to the idea that referees and judges, when necessary, should be called upon to explain a stoppage or explain a decision. I think this clearly shows why that would be effective, because watching that, now I didn't have a problem with the stoppage, but watching that, it showed the process that Marc Goddard went through to come to that stoppage and decide that stoppage.
He didn't just say, do you know what, fuck, I don't like Colby, I'm going to fuck his opportunities up for the rest of his career, so I'll stop the fight. He didn't do that. He explained why he stopped it.
Yeah, to every point. He even looked back or compared it to the Frankie Edgar fight against the Korean Zombie, where it was a similar situation, but he explained why that one didn't stop at the point where maybe the Colby fight was, like similar situations. I thought that was brilliant. And Goddard was he was saying that he is reluctant to do stuff like that, to talk about stoppages, but I just think that outlined why it should happen, and for judges.
Yeah, I understand why he doesn't want to be in the public eye necessarily, answering questions about it, because he's a referee. And I mean, generally the thing would be, if a referee does his job, you don't hear about it, but Goddard made the point that you won't hear or see from me if you don't do anything illegal, or you're not going to get, like, that's the only way you hear from me. It's all about accountability. If you have a stinker anywhere in life, you're going to get pulled up on it. 100%. The same should be with judges and referees. Goddard clearly explained why I did this, how I did it, what the thought process was. Fine. So if he would say Colby listens to that and he says Colby's not going to agree with him,
of course,
but the thought process is there. Like it or not, this is why he did it. He didn't just decide to say fuck you. It wasn't that. No,
there was actual thought in it.
I thought it was deadly to hear someone as at the level that Marc Goddard is at actually come out and just say, this is why I did it. Like, it was pretty simple. It's a 5-minute listen. You don't have to like ever, but it was pretty simple. A 5-minute listen. This is why I did what I did. I can defend it. Grant.
Yeah. Sorry,
go on.
No, I was just saying, because one of the major things, and you said it there, was that Goddard said that when he comes out and talks and he's in the public eye, he gets a lot of backlash because people are like, oh, look, you're trying to referee and you're trying to do this because you want to be famous. And that's why he's adverse to actually doing it. But I think if there was an actual system, so like I think Dan Hardy mentioned this, where you have, say, the reporters, maybe it's on them to say, we want to request Marc Goddard for the main event. We want to request
fight report or something.
Yeah, something like that, where they come out after a press conference. So it's not on the referee. It's not the referee saying, I want to talk to the media. It's the media requesting specific people to do it. I think that's the way it works, because then you're getting around the whole idea of this guy just wants the limelight, just wants the spotlight. Another thing I wanted to talk about, and I think this is an interesting discussion because it's something I've never really thought about. So, one thing he mentioned was that he was getting a lot of abuse after this from Colby fans and Colby himself, and he got like hundreds of death threats, which is obviously it's fucking insane. Like, that shouldn't happen. People should obviously be able to express their opinions, but like when it's coming down to death threats, and of course most of them were probably not serious. They're probably from the egg account. Remember the egg account
on Twitter with an egg is living in his mum's basement, knocking one out every 2 minutes.
Exactly, yeah.
Eloquently put there, if I do say so myself.
Knocking one out every 2 minutes.
Yeah,
jizz is what he's talking about. But he did mention this, that like when you look at other major sports, like take football for example, they're really big on this. If you say anything to a referee in football, you get sent off. Like, you can't talk bad about a referee. Now, Goddard and I agree that they go a little bit too far.
Football has its issues with regards to speaking about officials and stuff.
They go a bit too far.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
I think with MMA, like if you have Colby Covington out there saying, the next time I see Marc Goddard, I'm going to slap him, stuff like that. Like, do you think the UFC should look at that and say, listen, this is a bit much? Like, this is a bit much. We should, like, disagree with the stoppage, but we shouldn't be getting to the point where you're threatening violence against the referee.
I think one of the most interesting parts of that interview to me was Dan Hardy asked Goddard, is it worth it? Like,
and he wasn't sure.
Yeah, and he thought about it for a second. He said, you know what, I'm not even sure.
Yeah, that's
and this is a man who like loves MMA as much as anyone, trains, whatever. And he's just like, you know, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I think it's quite reflective of society at the minute and the way things are with social media.
Yeah.
Colby is literally the epitome of everything wrong. I know it's a character, but his character is
the troll.
His character is the epitome of everything that's wrong. It's reactionary. It's like, I didn't agree with the judges in the John Jones fight. I'm not taking the time out of my day to send him a death threat because I've better things to be at, and I'm not an absolute fucking
knuckle dragger.
Yeah, I'm not. Like, it's just idiotic. Like,
yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, Yeah, judges are people too. Refs are people too.
Yeah.
You don't have to like them. You don't have to agree with them. You can think they're stupid. You can think they're idiots. I think that judge who scored that fight for the John Jones is an idiot. And doesn't know fuck all about MMA.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take the time out of my day to send him a death threat or call him a prick on
you don't
Twitter.
do that. That's insane. That's silly. Like they're people too.
Yeah. Death threat. Like, it's insanity. These guys have families and they are doing a job. Might not be very good at it, but they're doing a job.
Yeah. They should be held accountable.
Yeah.
100%. But they shouldn't be.
Yeah, the issue of unaccountability isn't necessarily their fault either.
No.
So yeah, to me the most interesting bit of that was Goddard saying that he doesn't even know if it's worth it. Like, what's the point essentially?
Yeah. A little story about Goddard as well. Remember the whole situation with Conor, John Redmond, Charlie Ward, the cage situation. So me and Noel covered that show, and after the fight, we saw Marc Goddard in the Gibson across from the Tree Arena. Had a pint with him, and we basically wanted to try get an interview with him. We were like, "Come on, give us an interview," and he's like, "Nah, I don't want to talk to the media about it." But he's like, "But listen, lads, I'll talk to you about it." Like, so we sat there with Marc Goddard for it must have been an hour and a half. And he explained, like he done with Dan Hardy on that podcast, step by step what happened in the fight and like why essentially it all came around. Because if you don't remember what happened, John Redmond was ground and pound as far as I remember, and the ref was stepping in. But what actually happened was the bell went at the same time. Like, I mean, he was stepping in to stop, not to stop the fight because of the bell. Conor thought the fight was over and he jumped the cage and all the whole thing. And then Goddard turned around to Conor and said, "Get out of the ring or get out of the cage. The fight isn't over. It's not actually over." So then Conor, that's why Conor flipped out. It was like, "Oh, he was out fucking ever." And he started shoving Marc Goddard. And then apparently the commission came in and said, "Listen, I know you're actually going to let John go back to his thing and recover. This fight's over. It's madness." So Goddard actually explained exactly, what he was thinking in the moment. And it was very similar to that. And like, for a guy who you wouldn't expect, like a big guy, he looks really tough. He actually is very articulate, and he's very good at that.
He came across really well in that thing.
Yeah.
He came across mostly just a kind of a fan as well.
He did, yeah. He was very good. So like lots of time for Marc Goddard for giving us that as well.
As in, sorry, he doesn't have to go and sit with Dan Hardy and 5-10 minutes explain why he stopped the fight or talk about the death threats and stuff. He could easily just sit in his arse somewhere and say nothing. But yeah, it
was awesome. More of that, please. UFC Dublin has been announced for August 15th this year. This was a surprise. I did not expect this to happen.
Was a surprise.
It was a big surprise. It kind of came out of nowhere. What's your thoughts?
Excited. It's good to have the UFC back. I want to go. I haven't been to the UFC show in Ireland yet, so
shit.
Yeah, I'll be there hopefully. Reaction. Who are you putting on the card?
That was my first reaction.
Who
the hell's going to be on the card?
Who's going to headline? I mean, if we
Conor McGregor returns to
we sort of ran through the contenders here at work, and you're like, Gunny's on a 2-fight skid.
Yes.
Joe Duffy's on a skid. Darren Till, maybe the times could line up, but are they really going to put Darren Till over? And I mean, did you listen actually to Till on Hello Ariel's show?
No.
He sort of said he turned down the fight in London. He said the UFC offered him the headline slot in London. He wanted to fight in Vegas against Canyon A. He was like, want to fight there? So not too sure he'd take a fight in.
Although he's having visa issues now, so
he is, yeah.
Yeah, so you never know. It's hard to know right now. We're a while out now, or a few months out, so it's hard to know who will make sense. But like in terms of like not even thinking of timelines, they're not going to put some huge name fighter in the main event. They just won't. You might get a big name. You might get someone like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. That's someone I was thinking of.
Something Latifi.
Yeah, maybe someone like European like that. Or if they're gonna go American, it might be someone like Wonderboy. I was thinking Paul Felder. Depending on what happens this weekend, that one kind of makes sense. If he wins, like that could make sense. You're not gonna get Conor. Like for the people who are saying, is Conor going to be on the card? Nope. Absolutely not.
Conor will be in attendance at the
card.
He'll probably have a scrap outside.
He might have a scrap outside, yeah. You might get a free fight if you just walk outside. Yeah. Outside the Gibson.
Yeah.
Joking, Conor. You're welcome on the show anytime. Yeah, it's hard to tell right now, but I'm glad to see them come back. I think it's going to be a terrible card. No offence, but based on what the European cards have been, I think you might get 2 good fights and the rest is going to be garbage. But if we're talking about Irish lads and lads, local talent, all that kind of stuff, who's the most likely, from your perspective, to that they might get a shout because who do we have? Ireland, Conor,
Joe Duffy.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's it, right?
Yeah, everyone else has signed up to Bellator.
Yeah, and then Gunny will take him.
Yeah, so yeah, Gunny's going to be the highest. Gunny's going to be the biggest Irishman on the card, and he's Icelandic.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I like Gunny's an honorary Irishman. I have no problem with that. But
yeah. So, but who from the Irish talent outside the UFC right now has the best shot of maybe getting a call up to get on the prelims or something?
I think if Rhys McKee wins in Belfast, I think he's nailed on to be on the UFC card. Big if, like you said, though, he's no opponent named. Could be a very tough fight from up in Belfast. But yeah, I think if he gets a win, he's nailed on. He could end up on a main card, handy enough as well, I'd say.
Yeah. I think he's really the only one right now. Like, and even like if you want to really go, like say like Ian Gary and stuff, Ian isn't ready. Like, I love Ian Gary. He's a fucking phenomenal prospect, but not yet. Not just because, like, for him, honestly, for him. Like, he'll go in there and he might get an easy fight, like easy relative to like what the talent in the UFC is, but like I'd like to see him do some work in Cage Warriors for a while and develop.
I think you're going to see the likes of Dalby on the card.
Yeah, you get European guys.
Latifi probably there as well. Like, that's what you're going
to see. Basically naming like the last UFC Dublin card.
Yeah, that's what you're going to see, like the likes of these guys. Maybe Nathaniel Wood, a couple of English guys, stuff like that. Wood obviously lost at the weekend, so maybe that would make sense.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not going to be great. I know it's not going to be great, but we'll see. You never know. We'll see what happens.
I'll have a point all the same, Rob.
You'll have a point. I want to briefly talk about this, and actually one more thing. We're going to talk about Bellator Dublin later,
and it kind of links back.
This kind of links back because I think that, and Ian Gary talked about this. I think a lot of the Irish people who signed to Bellator, I don't know if they made a bad decision, but I think their prospects with the UFC have really, really diminished because of that. And we'll give our opinion why. I'm not sure if you agree with that. But anyway, did you see the yoke about the UFC giving the share dividends to the celebrities, like 300 million, was it?
Yeah.
Basically, they drained the UFC's cash, their cash to pay out the dividends that these celebrity investors were supposed to get from the IPO. And then it came out,
up basically.
And then it basically came out that the UFC pay about 16% of revenue to fighters. Now that's compared to about 48 to 50% for major sports like the NFL, and I'm not sure about like football and all that, but whatever, soccer. But yeah, what was your thoughts? I want to talk about that, the 16%.
It's very low, isn't it?
Yeah.
For what
Expected
they do.
Though.
Not surprising at all. Not surprising at all. It's piss poor, really.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are putting more on the line than any boxer, or there's more risk involved. It's more high risk. More ways to bad stuff can happen.
I think it's less risky, but that's just
me. Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Why?
Just I think because you have the option for takedowns. I think fights get stopped. I think the 10 count in boxing is a lot more dangerous than a lot of stuff that happens in MMA, because you're basically giving a guy a concussion to get back up to probably get another concussion. Whereas in MMA, you drop a guy, a few more strikes and it's probably done. Or even when you drop a guy, it gets stopped a lot earlier. I just think it is, and there's been a few studies as well. But anyway, still. Yeah, I think it's here. I think they're the same basically.
Yeah, what's on the line and the pay. Like if you look at Conor McGregor's take-home pay for that fight against Colby, 20 million, 25 million. It's not a lot compared to what lesser boxers are getting.
Yeah, I
mean Manny Pacquiao can fight a tin can out in the street tomorrow, and he'd probably get 50 million.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Not surprising at all. They need to unionise, man.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant told him in a talk at the UFC PI not that long ago. Oh, no, it wasn't at the PI, sorry, it was a fighter retreat.
Yeah, retreat,
you need to unionise, man.
Yeah.
And I know you're fighting each other, but I mean it's beneficial for everyone. It's a little bit of game theory at the end of the day. I think it's game theory.
Yeah.
They need to unionise and sort themselves out.
Yeah. We spoke about this earlier on, and I don't have enough information. I don't know enough about both the UFC structure and other sports structure, but I just wonder like what the UFC's overheads are compared to other sports. Like, is there a reason why they can't pay fighters a lot more because of their overheads?
They're a private company as well.
They're a private company, so it's it's their business. But I just wonder that. Like, I wonder, because they handle production and all that, I wonder how that works out. Like, are they really restricted in this way? Like, it doesn't seem like it. I don't think they are, but I think there has to be that question there as well. I'd love to see someone like John Nash do an in-depth analysis of it. Maybe he has, and if he has, give me a link
Yeah, it always comes back to the structure of the sport is just different to boxing, to football, to NFL.
So
it's just different. And you can't really compare them because you end up with this spider web. Okay, it's similar here, but it's different here, and it's just a weird breakdown. I think fighters do need to get more pay. I think the UFC needs to be taking less of a cut, and that will be how they get more pay. But this isn't going to happen until they unionise. Fighters are harming their own interests here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and like the thing is, Dana will point to McGregor, who's saying he's earning this.
Yeah.
Not everyone's a McGregor. You have to look after. McGregor's probably earning the top 5%. The rest are earning
probably. Yeah. McGregor's like a billionaire, like relative to other fighters, like an absolute billionaire, and the rest is the the guys who are struggling. There's 3 big cards on this weekend. I'll say 3 big cards. We're going to talk about all of them. I'm going to start with an MMA card, then a boxing card. Well, I'm going to talk about an MMA fight, boxing fight, MMA fight. We'll kind of go it that way. But the first one up is UFC Fight Night Felder versus Hooker.
Cracker of a fight.
Man, this is a phenomenal fight. It goes down in Auckland, New Zealand. Hometown boy, hometown fight for your hometown boy and Hooker. The Irish Dragon is heading over. He's going to try beat Dan Hooker. There's a bit of a rivalry here, but man, this is fun.
Yeah, I feel like someone at work said this to me earlier. In most of the divisions, you're looking at a number 1 contender fight here.
Yes.
But lightweight stacked at the minute. Yeah. They're probably still 2 fights minimum away from a title shot. Brilliant fight. Really fun. I'm probably going to stay up for it, given all the fights that are on. So yeah, looking forward to this one.
Yeah, which for you and I think for me at this point in our careers, not many fight cards will keep us awake. Yeah. It's a tough one. But I want to break this one down a little bit. How are you feeling on... I'm not going to get a prediction off you, but how do you think these guys match up? Because I think they do some things very, very similar. I think they're both very, very technical. But I think Paul Felder is more of that traditional Muay Thai move forward type of guy. And he'll stay technical in that way, but you have Hooker, who is more of a guy who can be a bit slicker on the back foot, and he can, he can fight a bit better at range. Of course, he's the ranger guy, but I don't necessarily think that Felder fights that well moving backwards. So I do wonder what will happen when these two guys come together, because Hooker doesn't mind fighting on the back foot, but maybe that will give Paul Felder an edge if he does concede. That he lets Paul Felder come forward. So, how are you saying this one?
I think Hooker poses more problems to Felder than Felder poses to Hooker.
Yes, I
think he's just trickier. I think Hooker's just trickier, coming from that city kickboxing gym, which is just killing it at the minute. We've seen what they're like with their feints. They're just tricky strikers. Yeah. They're awkward. You can't really get a read on them.
Yeah,
I think you're right. Felder is a little bit more traditional in his style.
I think you know what to expect from him a bit more, right?
Yeah, well, he's been around longer, so there is more tape on him to study. I think, there is just more... He's easier to game plan for than Hooker will be the game plan for from Felder's perspective. Yeah.
I'm not saying Felder's a basic striker, but
not at all.
But what I'm saying, what I'm trying to convey is that he'll throw tricky stuff, as in he'll throw a spinning back fist or a spinning elbow off the break, stuff like that. Whereas Dan Hooker will throw a fade off knee, something a bit trickier and slicker, and he won't go to the well with that. Whereas sometimes you find with Paul Felder, he'll throw spinning shit all over the place. Now I think he's getting a lot better at that. I think earlier in his UFC career he had a lot of success with spinning back fists and stuff, and he just kept going to it.
Yeah.
But I think he's got better. And one thing as well, I like this kind of conversation happened with DC as well. Do you think that Paul Felder, looking at how he's looked lately, since he started doing UFC commentary, has he got better? Got better at fighting since he's actually been analysing these fights? Because I think maybe there's a case to be made that he has. He's actually got better as a fighter.
Yeah, I was watching something on Dan Hardy's YouTube channel, Full Reptile, and there was a part in it where he met Felder in the UFC PI. Yeah. And I think he asked Felder this, and Felder was like, man, it's so different looking at a fight, or training for a fight when you've been analysing fights. It's a really interesting one.
Yeah. There has to be something to it.
There has to be something to it. You're just watching so much footage and so many different looks at different guys that there has to be some benefit to it, even if it's only marginal. Yeah, there has to be something to it.
Because if you think about it in any kind of sense, for example, our day jobs, I'm a data analyst, right? So if If for some
I'm a
reason,
dosser.
he's a dosser. If for some reason I had to go and like review everybody's scripts because I need to do a presentation on them, naturally I'm gonna get better because I'm reviewing other people's work, I'm critiquing it, I'm taking information in. So I think it works very similar where Felder's going out there and he's reviewing work, he's watching more fights than maybe he has in the past. And also you have to take into account that he commentated on one of Hooker's fights as well. So like he's been looking at this guy. Like this is not a new guy to him. So I wonder how that will play out. Like he's analysed him before.
Yeah, as in you could probably, the thing that comes to analysing it or being a pundit is you can probably throw most names at them and they're going to be able to tell you at least the very basics about them. Whereas you can pick generally the most hardcore UFC fan. There's 500 plus guys on the roster, isn't there?
Yeah, it's fucking,
Give him a name and he's going to be like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
As in, me or you don't look at a card and go, yeah, I know everyone on that card.
Which is unfortunate because I used to.
Yeah.
And now he can't do that anymore.
Yeah, but pundits have to because it's their job.
Yeah, it's their job, yeah.
So...
Yeah. Unless you're like Eamon Dunphy.
Spoofers, Bill.
Yeah, spoofers. So yeah, what's your pick now?
I'll take Hooker.
Hooker?
Yeah, big fan of Hookers.
Yeah. Think the hometown advantage will play into this as well, or
possibly?
Yeah. It's a big travel. It's a nice travel for Paul Felder. You know.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting one. I don't think Hooker or any of the guys at that city kickboxing are that emotional in that sense to get taken in by the home advantage. I think they're quite unattached when they need to be.
Yeah.
So I think it's not necessarily the benefit in the sense that it usually is. I think just being at home for the whole camp, not having to travel that far would be an advantage.
Yeah. I'm going to take Hooker as well. I think he's a little bit slicker. I think Felder, when it's not working for him, he can like almost drift out of fight. Like I think he gets stronger going on in terms of like cardio. I don't think he slows down or anything like that. But I just think that sometimes when he's losing a fight, it just kind of drifts away from him. And I feel like Hooker will be able to keep the momentum up and fight. It is 5 rounds. We have seen Paul Felder not go 5 rounds. No, he's never gone 5 rounds. And Hooker, he's never gone 5 rounds either. So that'll be interesting. They both said that they like 5 rounds. I think they'll fight better 5 rounds. But yeah, I'll go with Hooker. Let's not talk about the rest of that card because there's more pressing matters.
Fairly shite as well.
It's not great. There's some names down there, but it's not great. But there's some more pressing matters, and specifically, it's a big boxing fight this weekend, Sean. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this one. It's Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, number 2. It's going down. What's your thoughts? What's your initial thoughts going into this one? Are you excited? It's kind of, I don't know about you. Sorry for cutting you off.
Go on.
It's not like flying under the radar, but I haven't heard as much talk as I thought there was going to be about it. Am I wrong?
No. I think that's to do with the promotion of the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, American promotion of fights is just different to how fights are promoted over here.
Yeah.
You can talk all you want about Tyson Fury being the people's champion and how he comes across in the public eye and stuff, and I agree with most of it. But he's not an entertaining fighter. He's not.
I know, you always go back to this one.
He's not. Like he's teamed up with Sugar Hill Stewart for this fight. He dropped his trainer from the last fight.
I want to talk about that next.
Yeah. I'm kind of going to touch on here because I think it comes back into...
Go for it.
So he's big on this thing now, Tyson Fury, that he's going to knock Wilder out. He's not. Okay? He's not. Tyson Fury will not knock Deontay Wilder out. So what did he do for the first fight? Let's break it down. It's pretty simple. What did he do for the first fight? He boxed, he danced around him, still got caught twice.
Yeah.
Got up like fucking Jesus from the dead.
The Undertaker.
Yeah. Why would he change it up? Why? It makes no sense.
No,
it makes no sense.
It makes 0 sense.
We know what Wilder's going to do. Wilder's going to lose every second of the fight. Wilder's going to lose every second of the fight and hope to land something. And that's all he needs. Like he lost every second of his last fight against Luis Ortiz.
Yeah.
Every second of it. And then landed a fucking monster of a punch. Yeah. That's all he needs to do. What did you ask me? Sorry, I got distracted. It's
the hype about it. Yeah,
it's kind of flying under the radar. I mean, it's on BT Sport. I generally
box office.
Yeah, Sky bid for it as well to try get it. I think Sky generally are better at pushing their fights on box office than BT. The card is shit. Yeah, the card is shit as well.
Yeah,
it's boxing. It obviously is. The card is shit.
Any notable names on the other card?
No.
Literally,
a couple of heavyweights who fought. But that's about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of flying under the radar. It's not. Bob Arum said it's going to do 2 million buys. It's not.
Yeah. No. Is there like, I seen there was some kind of contract that they will fight again depending on the result, possibly? Is that right?
It's loosely in the contract from what I can gather that they will fight a third time.
Yeah.
Not necessarily next.
Yeah. Do you take anything from Tyson Fury changing his coaches? Because I know, or his coach, his head coach, because I know like there was a lot of talk about that originally when he went with this guy, because he's kind of inexperienced and stuff, but he seems to have...
His original coach?
Yeah, the one that he just left. Because he's kind of inexperienced, and that he's just, essentially he's inexperienced, like he didn't have a lot of...
Yeah, I think Ben Davison is the coach you're talking about who dropped.
Yes.
He was just a good friend of Tyson who not helped him, but he was there when Tyson sort of came from where he was mentally and physically.
300-pound job.
And sniffing cocaine left, right and centre. Drinking 20...
He did say his post-fight thing is going to be to sniff some cocaine. He said that at his party afterwards.
Tyson talks a lot of bollocks. Tyson... always remember this, right? Whatever Tyson Fury says, he talks a lot of bollocks. I don't know what to make of this trainer switch. The way the trainer he's linked up with is Emmanuel Stewart's nephew, who trained the likes of Andy Lee, Thomas Hearns, these guys. Iconic trainer. He's like Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
He has Andy Lee in the camp. It would suggest that he is going to try and sit down on his punches more, but I just can't get my head around why he would go in. No, I can understand the ego. You want to go in and you beat him at his game, but why?
Yeah, it seems like a strange move.
And I've never seen anything from Tyson Fury in any of his fights to suggest that he's the type of concussive puncher that would knock Deontay Wilder out. I've never seen anything to suggest that. In the last fight I was pretty hot on Fury. I backed Fury just to win, and I had backed him to win on points at 4-1, and I was fucking robbed of my money on it. He won every second of the fight, bar the 2 seconds where he was knocked out, 2 counts where he was knocked down. Won every second of the fight other than that. I can't... Sorry, again, I'm on the same opinion as the last fight. I think he just outboxes him. And I think we have a Fury who's now had 2 fights more since the last one. I think Wilder got him. If he was going to beat him, he got him at a good time the last time.
Yeah.
He'd fought 2 bin men before that.
Yeah.
He's fought arguably 2 bin men since it. So I think you have a better Fury and a not different Wilder.
Yeah, like I think, like of course, like Wilder is the better puncher. Like that's clear.
I think Wilder's arguably the biggest puncher in boxing history.
Oh, that's
he's up there.
He's up
Tyson.
there. Yeah, he's up there. 100%. He's up there. Like you seen what he's doing, the guys. Like,
and sorry,
he's comatose and guys.
At one point I did want to make on his last coach around the inexperience. If you actually listen to Ben Davison, he's actually a brilliant analytical mind in boxing. He's very interesting.
I think it was just the fact that he didn't have a lot of like actual experience.
It was just people looking at his name and saying, "Oh, who the fuck is
who's this guy? Who the fuck is that guy?" I just pulled up the odds on Paddy Power, and
I know what they are.
You know what they are.
Yeah.
Evens Deontay Wilder and just 10-11. So
there's a lot of even money and some 11-10 about on Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
So 11-10, how are you looking?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be on you tonight.
Yeah. Draw 22-1. Will they repeat it?
No. I'll be on Tyson Fury to win at 11-10 and Tyson Fury on points. I'd be amazed if Tyson Fury knocked Deontay Wilder out.
What happens if Tyson Fury goes in their first round and he is sitting down and is punching and he is not moving? How do you feel the rest of the fight is going to go?
If Deontay Wilder isn't moving?
No. If Tyson Fury goes in there and you can see immediately he's fighting very different. He's sitting down on his punches. He's not on his feet. He's not on his bike like he was in the first fight. Are you getting worried for what's going to happen if you have that bet on?
Yeah, fact. Yeah, we're going to know straight away with that bet. It's just, I know how much shit Tyson Fury talks.
Yeah.
So I don't buy...
So he's got to be talking shit, right?
I've never bought the fact that he's going to go in and... He says it every fight.
He's probably still working with Ben Davis.
No, he's not.
He's
working with Andy Lee, actually, which is pretty cool. I like Andy Lee.
Imagine.
He says before every fight, I'm going to knock him out. I'll knock Anthony Joshua out. I'll knock... He said he'd knock him out in the first fight. He never tried to knock him out. He doesn't throw punches with the purpose of knocking you out. He throws punches in punches in bunches to move around you, get out of the way. He'll throw a hook here, and next thing you look, and he's round the side.
Yeah,
he's gone.
He's a good puncher. Like I mean, he's a good boxer.
He's a slick boxer. Box and move, get in and get out.
Very good.
He can hurt you with punches. He's not concussive by any means. I don't think. We've seen him get knocked down. Jeez, if he goes in and stands in front of Deontay Wilder, it's fucking night Rosie.
Yeah, that guy cannot throw a fucking punch. We'll leave that there. And last one, there's a Bellator card going down in Dublin this weekend. Are you going, Sean?
No, I'm not.
No.
I'm not going though because I'm not going because of the card being a bit shit. I'm going because I was drinking and gambling a lot last weekend. So funds are a bit depleted. And I can't afford more drinking and gambling.
Yeah, we should have just got you a credential to sit cage side and just tweet on the page. Would have happened.
But I'd end up buying pints in there unless the media get free pints to it.
Yeah, no.
Otherwise, I'd have looked into that.
Yeah, you shouldn't be drinking, really.
Yeah.
So Liam McCourt headlines the card because of fights falling out. Liam McCourt, of course, Irish fighter from the north. And she fights Judith Ruiz, who's a 6-4 fighter. Now, let's call it a spade. It's not a great main event. It's fairly shite. It's fairly shite. Liam McCourt was put on this card because she seems to be getting a bit of a rub from Bellator. She seems to be a bit of an asset, but she was never supposed to land in the main event here. That was never supposed to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the main and co-main both fell through.
Yeah.
I thought this card was pretty alright.
But when I had everybody on the card, I thought it was fine. At face value,
when the card was full, you had Gallagher Eleanor. Good fight. We've seen it fall through, so it's like, okay, there's a bit of anticipation there.
Yeah.
Queally and what's his name? Ryan Scope. Yeah, good fight.
Yeah, that's a good fight.
Redzo was in a competitive fight.
Yeah, still is on the card.
Yeah. All three of those fights have fallen through. So they were the three fights I was personally most looking forward to. Yeah. I like Liam McCourt. I think she's a good prospect. I understand why they're giving her the push. Yeah, it's not her fault. 2 fights have fallen through, and she's landed in the main event. All the best to her. Good luck to her.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's just one of them fights where, like, what it is to give Liam McCourt a fight in Ireland, and there's no backstory. There's nowhere to go from here. Do you know what I mean? There's no, like, if she wins, nothing happens. Like, it means nothing. All it means is it's another win for Liam McCourt. And we'll see what happens there.
Let's call it spade a spade. It's a glorified Bama card.
It's a Bama card. Like, there's some names on it, as you said. You called out some of them, but like Kiefer's on the card. But again, he could have been on Bama if it still existed. You have Aaron Chalmers on the card, which might draw a bit of an audience. And again, I have no problem with Aaron Chalmers fighting. He's like the third fight on the main card, so that's fine.
What's co-main event?
But the co-main event is Brett Primus against Chris Bungard, which is a good fight. And Brett Primus is probably the most credentialed guy. Well, he's definitely the most credentialed guy. He's a former champion in Bellator. Now, he fights about, one time every 6 years, but like, it is what it is. But the best fight on the card, Will Fleury's on the card, of course, big friend of the show. But the best fight on the card, in my opinion, is Ricky Bandejas against Franz Malamba, which is, like, in my opinion, that's the best fight, most competitive fight on the card.
Yeah. Can't wait to watch it across 3 platforms.
Yeah.
And still miss some
Explain
fights.
that to me, because I'm still confused.
Yeah. Bellator, right? Definitely the second biggest MMA organisation in the world, yeah?
Yeah, let's go with it.
Yeah?
I think so.
Probably.
Yeah.
Definitely top 3.
Yeah.
You could argue one are bigger in Asia and stuff. And
we'll go with number 2.
Okay, yeah. One of the biggest MMA organisations, one of the UFC's main competitors.
Yes.
So I have to watch this card in Ireland, where the card is on, across 3 networks, 3 platforms. So I have to watch it on the app, YouTube, and then Channel 5. And I'm probably still going to miss some fights in between because of the times that it starts at on Channel 5. So the coverage is going to start at Channel or say if fights finish early. They put a runner on or something.
Yeah.
There's too many fights on the card for a start.
Oh, Jesus Christ, yeah.
Like, the fighter's ready to cage on the run and the next guy's on. We've seen it at the last.
I hope these announcers and commentators are getting paid double for this, because they're going to go overtime.
There's too many fights in the card. I shouldn't have to go across 3 platforms to watch a card. UFC, you watch the prelims of Fight Pass, and then you get BT Sport. Grand. Boxing. Sky Sports have a box office event on. You get 2 prelim fights on Facebook. Then you get the free portion of the card on Sky Sports, whatever, main event. And then you have the pay-per-view portion, which is on the same channel, and you just pay for.
Yeah.
Grand.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah.
So now I have to get the app on my phone. The app is notoriously dodgy. Yeah, it's shit, like. It may work, it may not. I'm all about gambling. This is just annoying gambling. And then I have to go to YouTube, or maybe YouTube is first, I don't know.
Yeah. See, look, you're getting confused. You read about this.
I don't even know. It's unnecessarily stupid.
Yeah.
And I like what Bellator have tried to do in Ireland and the UK. They've signed a lot of talent, a lot of fighters, and they're not pushing them.
Yeah.
This card should be on terrestrial TV in Ireland.
Yeah.
Instead, you have 4 fights on Channel 5, which is a UK station.
Yeah.
Why haven't, I'm not at Virgin Media or someone like that, why haven't someone like that, or has it not been offered to them to whack this card on?
Yeah.
What's the point in just taking over? What's the point in taking over UK and Irish MMA if you're not going to give it the exposure it deserves? It just seems like they're blocking the UFC from coming in here. As we said, who are the UFC going to put on the card now? Because all the SPG guys are in Bellator.
Yeah. They're going to look to Cage Warriors, obviously, but yeah.
So Scott Coker, sort your fucking shit out.
Yeah. I'm just not sure what their strategy is with Ireland, because they've come here a few times, and like, is it just to have a card here and fill an arena? Because they can get good attendance over here because lads are dying to go see their mates fight and all that, but like, it's a bit weird. But yeah, I mentioned it earlier, but I do think that if you sign for Bellator, it does cut your options out quite a bit, because I do think the UFC still hold a little bit of resentment to Bellator.
You're largely cutting off that path.
Yeah, like, it's not gone, but I mean, I don't think that's the first place the UFC is going to look. Like, if they're looking for Irish guys, they're going to go first to Cage Warriors and elsewhere. I think if you're signed to Bellator, especially if you have some kind of deal with Bellator, they can actually, they have the right to, match the offer from the UFC. So I'm not even sure if the UFC want to get into that kind of situation with Bellator. I think they're not even going to look at that. It'll be only if there's someone that's really, standing out, I think they're going to look at. But the rest of the guys, it's going to be hard for them to get a chance, I think.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's a glorified regional card.
It is. It is what it is.
Like what you said about the Liam McCourt fight, I mean, if you beat 4 of those guys and you're on a 4-fight streak, 4 of those types of fighters, 6-4, if you beat 4 of them, you're not really, and you're winning on these regional shows, you're not really in title contention.
No.
You're not really in title. So it's up to fighters. You make a decision. The money is damn good in Bellator from what we hear, so I can't disrespect them for that at all.
No.
But let's not kid ourselves here and be sold that, like, if someone beats 4 fucking even records on 4 Irish cards in a row, that he's going to be in title contention in the US. He's not.
No.
James, like, who are you looking at here to be in title contention in Ireland? James Gallagher. Is the only one, really.
I mean, if
Queally had beaten Scope, maybe he gets a push. Maybe he gets a fight in the US. If he beats Scope, he's had 2 wins in a row, 2 good wins in a row.
Yeah, it seems like they like Queally, so that could be a possibility. He obviously has them links as well with Connor. I really don't know. Just like there doesn't seem to be a great route there. Like, I mean, Franz Malambo is getting a big opportunity here against Ricky Bandejas because of the SPG link there. So maybe he gets a good fight after this if he wins it. I don't know. It's a weird one.
Yeah. I think they need to put on less fights on the card and more quality fights.
Yeah.
It's like there's too many. We were at the last card and there was far too many fights. People just got disinterested.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the pacing must be terrible as well. But yeah, let's move on, Sean. We have some fan questions. I want to get into them and then we can get out of here. Okay, so now on to your questions. These questions go up on our community tab on the YouTube channel, The MMA Movement. So go check it out and leave us a question on Wednesday and Tuesday. Linus is back. He's always good for a question.
Yeah.
I feel like Usman's fight with Woodley completely changed the fans' perception of Kamaru from a good contender to a champ that's going to be extremely hard to beat. I know he's good, but I've only seen the last 2 of his fights. So my questions are, 1, we'll start with this one. Is his wrestling that good? And has his chin ever been tested that you recall? Not Colby tested, as Colby is a volume guy and I don't remember Woodley really drilling him in that fight. Is his wrestling that good? From what I've seen, his wrestling is excellent and he does have fairly good credentials. Now, I'm not like a huge wrestling watcher, but I know that he was in Division 2.
He was D2, yeah.
Which isn't necessarily the best, but apparently his wrestling, even as a D2 guy, is excellent. And from what we've seen against most guys in the UFC so far, it's been very good. So I think so. In terms of has his chin been tested, I don't know if he's really been tested in that sense. It's always a weird discussion talking about things like that, like has this guy been tested when he's he has plenty of fights, but like I can't remember him really getting cracked, so maybe not. Maybe if he comes up against a big power puncher and they catch him, maybe we know that we see that he doesn't necessarily have the best chin. Who knows?
It's kind of one of those phrases that gets bandied about, isn't it?
It is,
his chin's never been tested. You don't really know. I mean, these guys can obviously take a punch.
Yeah.
With regard as wrestling, I think obviously like Woodley had the better credentials wrestling wise going into that fight.
Mm-hmm.
And that's everyone was just I personally just looked and thought, well, Woodley's a better wrestler.
Yeah.
They're both wrestlers. But I think what Usman showed in that fight was that his MMA wrestling is better.
Yeah, it's very different.
They're two different things, and if you can adapt your wrestling to MMA better, then the credentials don't really matter.
100%, yeah. I completely agree with that.
Yeah. Regards to chin, I don't really know. I mean,
it's hard to tell. Yeah, I can't recall him being cracked that hard. Like, I mean, Colby caught him with some good shots, but like Colby isn't a knockout artist. We know that. So I'll say no, he hasn't been tested in that sense. Question 2: what kind of fighter do you think would beat him? Why not a guy with KO power with very underrated wrestling like Masvidal? I mean, maybe. Like, I would definitely favour Usman against Masvidal for kind of the reasons we said. He does have good wrestling, and Masvidal has struggled against guys like that. But yeah, like, it's hard. It's really hard to tell. I do think he's right in the sense that the Woodley fight did change a lot of things. Like, his performance against Woodley was very, very impressive. And I know Woodley, like, I don't think Woodley showed up his best self in that fight.
I agree.
But that could have been because Kamaru was so good. You know, it's hard to tell. But yeah, Masvidal has a chance. I'd favour Usman. What type of fighter could beat him? Yeah, like, I think a guy who can defend takedowns and force him into a striking fight like Colby did.
I think so.
But be a better striker than Colby, maybe a bigger puncher, and get more respect, because I think that was the problem. Colby was landing good shots, but I don't think Usman was really respecting the shots that Colby was landing.
I think an awkward guy is someone who could cause him trouble.
Yeah, maybe.
Just like it's hard to it's always hard to pick out from. Like, welterweight's quite stacked right now. There's a lot going on.
Like Wonderboy.
I was just thinking Wonderboy. Can defend a takedown.
Just awkward.
Yeah,
strange.
Just really fucking awkward. Yeah. Probably not the most entertaining fight, but could give him trouble.
Yeah, I agree.
Next question.
Go for it.
DM me, baby. Not really MMA related per se, but this video that's of Connor on Twitter and WhatsApp of him sleeping in the bed, allegedly in the bed with that girl beside him, which seems recent enough. Says who? I'm just not getting in trouble for this one.
You won't get in trouble.
Yeah. Do you think he's falling back to the way he was for the most part of 2018, or do you think he's managed to stay somewhat out of trouble, I assume, is how that ends?
Yeah. Go for it, Sean.
We don't know how recent this video is.
Yeah.
It's not confirmed to be Connor. It looks like him.
Yeah, I'd be pretty sure it is him.
Yeah. It's hard to give him the benefit of the doubt at this point as well, is the only thing.
Honestly, first things first, I couldn't give a fuck if he's cheating on his girlfriend. I really couldn't. Like, I mean, that's their business. That is their business.
If I was Conor McGregor, I'd be enjoying myself.
Yeah.
Fact.
But, like, you know, it's... I won't say anything else.
Next question.
I couldn't give a fuck if he was cheating on him. But I'm just going to continue with this one because I think there is a bit to be said. If that was recent and that thing's kind of happening still, I don't think it necessarily means he's fallen back to the things that made him, I guess, not train as hard, because that's completely outside of that. If he's still showing up to the gym, he still has a regular training regiment, then whatever. Go for it. Like, it's not cool, but whatever. Bull Roar MMA podcast asked, after Diego's unpopular decision to win via DQ, is it finally time to get rid of show money and win money? We spoke about this earlier on at length, so you can go back if you haven't watched that. I think so. I think it's a potentially outdated system that suits the UFC. 100%. Yeah, we spoke about it at length, but I do think so.
Because what you're saying, as in you're effectively saying you're worth one thing to us if you win and another if you lose, which I get. But if you look at other sports models, you essentially just get more show. I think fighters would rather more show money but less money overall in it. So say you get 160 to win, 160 to show. I think fighters would rather 250 to show rather than 320 if they win. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
More guaranteed money.
Yeah, because you're essentially gambling. It's rough. Luca McMahon asked, who should Pereira, is that how you pronounce it? Pereira? I'm not sure. Pereira is the way you say it, isn't it? Whatever way. Who should Pereira face next? Also, what do you think of the criticism that TJ Dillashaw and John Jones rightfully receive when Chael Sonnen receives next to nothing for the same juicing, money laundering as he's well liked in the MMA community?
Money laundering.
So here's the thing about Chael Sonnen, right?
Just owns it, doesn't he?
He owns it, and Chael Sonnen is like any good comedian, right? He can say the most outrageous statements, he can do the most outrageous things, but he says it with that charm that you still like it. I'll go back to a joke that Jim Jeffries said, and he was talking about, Jim Jeffries is a comedian, and he was talking about how his jokes were printed in the newspaper, and he got into loads of trouble because essentially his jokes were, you know, pretty bad. And he was saying that, you know, if you take my jokes out of context and you read them, it's not a good read. He's like, the reason why I can say these jokes is because I do it with, like, you know, my charm and all this. That's my thing. And I think with Chael Sonnen, it's a similar thing. I think he gets away with a lot of stuff because he's charismatic. He talks very well, and people just like him in general. So I think he gets away with it. I don't necessarily think John Jones and TJ are those type of people. So that's why they don't really get the benefit of the doubt. And of course, John Jones probably done some worse stuff with the whole knocking people down and shit.
The problem with Jones is he's such a contradiction.
Yes. Yeah. People think he's fake.
Yeah. I don't buy the whole I'm a good human and
Christian
God
and God shit.
Like,
yeah.
I don't mind. I can deal with that. It's just I think people preferred Jones when he was the baddie and just owned it as the baddie. Just be that prick.
People cheered him when he was facing DC for a reason.
Yeah, just be the prick that you want to be. Like, I don't need you to be this God-loving Christian. Like,
yeah,
we don't need you to be that. Because you fuck. Yeah, I think it's just I don't buy it. I think it's fake.
Yeah.
Dillashaw. I mean,
I think there's actually, to be honest, I never thought of this, but there's a similar narrative about both guys. TJ Dillashaw, snake in the grass. He does stuff behind your back. He's not real. He's fake. He's a fake friend. Kind of similar with John Jones. John Jones, Rashad Evans had that famous rivalry because John Jones says, "Oh yeah, I'll never fight Rashad. We're good friends." And then as soon as that fight kind of came about, he was like, "Yeah, I'll fight Rashad. Why not?" So like they have a similar reputation, and I think it's essentially that they're fake. And then the funny thing is that a lot of people would probably say Chael Sonnen is fake in the sense that he plays this kind of persona, you know, this kind of pro wrestling character, almost like Colby Covington, but it's a likable character, you know. And I do think he believes most of the stuff that he says.
It's all perception, man.
Exactly.
Chael just plays the perception game better.
Yeah, he's
Jones
a comedian.
TJ.
You can get this one, it's a small one for you.
Yeah, I can read good. Why does gravity get stronger when you get older? Probably all the alcohol.
That's you. That's your sense. That isn't gravity. That is the weight of responsibility.
Oh, Jesus, that's deep, bro.
Yeah, we'll just leave it there.
Anyway, next question. Jesus.
Dave a little. Do you think judges should have to explain their scorecards in cases like Jones versus Reyes? A simple interview after the fight when there's a bit of controversy. Great spelling on that one there, Dave. No, I'm joking. Or could we even hear their discussion on TV after the final bell, or would that take away from the arm being raised at the end? So we spoke about this earlier on. I do think that they should do something like this because of everything that we said earlier on. I think it makes sense. I think, you know, judges should be protected in a way that, you know, everyone makes a mistake. So they shouldn't be, you know, hung, drawn and quartered, you know, or anything like that. But I do think that they're not beyond reproach. I think they need to be criticised when they make a bad decision. And I don't think necessarily, you know, they should be fired because they make one bad decision. But at least if we have a record of, okay, this guy is clearly incompetent, we can do something about it. So yeah, I agree with that.
The problem now, I said it last week, is total lack of accountability. As in, you can have a stinker as a judge and you're going to get a fight the next time the UFC rolls into town.
Yeah.
There needs to be, if you fuck up in your job, you're going to get called into a meeting and it's like, why'd you do this?
Exactly.
And if you can't defend it, that's your fault.
Exactly,
so, like,
and there's a lot on the line here.
Yeah, every fight, it's even higher stakes here. Yeah. Every judge should be able to sit in a room after a fight and say, this is why I scored it this way. I mean, if you don't like the scorecard, but the judge is defending it and it makes logical sense.
Yeah. And even if you disagree with it, I mean, if you can explain, this is why I done it, and even if they say, well, listen, that's a bad decision because this is what you should have been looking at, that's fine. Like, I mean, you should be able to explain what it is. If you can't explain what your decision was or why you came to your decision, There's a problem there.
Yeah, like I don't think that judge who scored that fight 4-1 to Jones could sit in a room and defend that scorecard logically.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a way you could do it.
Yeah, or especially the other one, the other fight.
Yes,
the one that he had,
one,
the coach.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. Go for it.
Clint Reeves. Why does the UFC almost never have draws? I truly believe that if some of these controversial decisions went to a draw and set up an immediate rematch, the fans would love it. Why isn't there more draws? Probably because the lack of 10-10 rounds. 10-10 rounds aren't really a thing.
No, and it's because they're actually told not to give 10-10 rounds, which I understand. Like, it's their job to figure out who won that round.
Winner,
Like, most likely, if a round shouldn't be a 10-10 round, most likely, in most cases, you know, there should be something that differentiates it, and the judge's job is to figure out what that is. That's their whole point of being there. So they're actually discouraged from giving 10-10 rounds. But I think when one actually is necessary, I still think they feel that weight of, shit, I can't really give a 10-10 round here. You know, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and like you said, it's their job to pick a winner.
Yeah.
So they're mostly always inclined to give it to someone.
Exactly.
And in a 3-round fight, it's hard. It's hard to see a draw in a 3-round fight.
Yeah,
really,
it is. It's hard. But do I think that? I mean, yeah, like it could. Fans could love that, you know, but it just depends. I think
people love the controversy a little bit.
They do. They love a bit of controversy, you know, all that shit. I think that was the last one, Sean, was it?
I think it was, Rob. Yeah.
Sweet. Thanks for joining me again, Sean. As always, it was a pleasure. And not much else to say, but there's a lot of fights on this weekend. I can't wait for them. I'm looking forward to them.
Yes, so.